we doing? Happy December. It's finally sad season. How are you all doing? I hope you are having an amazing day, Thursday or Friday, wherever you may be. This is going to be a tough live because there's some really dark things that we are going to talk about. And I felt the need for us, oh my God, this collar. Child, I felt the need for us to discuss it because I feel like this is something that no matter what I did this week, you guys are going to be asking me about it. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's just talk about it because I have some thoughts. I will say overall, it's just a lot of this could have been prevented. A lot of this could have been prevented if you just believe women, especially Black women. But we will get into it. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who is showing me that I'm there. I guess YouTube is like doing a 2025 year-end wrap up or whatever. And a lot of you guys are taking a picture of your wrap up, your YouTube wrap up, and sharing it with me and letting me know that I'm like your top channel that you watch. And I want to say thank you to everybody because that, for me, that's such a big deal. That's such a big deal. And a lot of you were showing me your top, your top people that you watch. And I was like at the top of really, really big creators. So I am so honored that you really enjoyed my content here. And I thank you all for sharing with me because I want to let you know that encouraged me and, you know, made me want to even go harder on this channel because sometimes I just get up and I just feel like it's just us hanging out and I really don't take it as seriously as I should. We've talked about that, but that really, really, really encouraged me. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of a big deal over here. We're kind of a big deal, Star family. We're kind of a big deal. So thank you so much. I was like near tears because there were so many of you guys sharing that with me. And I'm like, oh my God, me? I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and be like, you know, I'm shocked that it could be me, but I'm just saying like, there are so many people on this interweb to choose from and you guys stopped by here and you chose me and I am forever grateful for that. So thank you all so much. Also, Star family, we got a new drink. We're trying Olipop Cherry Cola. You know, I tried the Coke and I like that one. So we're going to try the cherry cola. And yes, we are still using my pumpkin cups because I haven't taken down my pumpkin decor yet. Guys, every time I try to do it, I just can't. But I have to take it down like this week. My family is like absolutely not. It's Christmas. So I have to take it down this week, but I've been like dreading it. But it's coming. And then I want to do the same thing with Christmas. I'm going to put up my Christmas decor and then I'm not going to want to take it down. So I go through this every year. Favorite time of year, by the way. Anyway, let's try it. Oh, it's got a little kick to it. It still has that Olipop sweetener aftertaste. Not as much, not as bad. I don't taste the cherry though. I can kind of taste the cherry, but it's giving me more Coke than cherry. I think my suggestion, Olipop, add more cherry. Add more cherry. This ain't bad. This ain't bad. I'll put it in the top 10. Anyway, child. Excuse me. I've stalled long enough. Let's get into it. So this first episode opens up with, oh my God, foolish. Let me tell you something. When a fool is at the end of his reign, he makes the dumbest decisions. So this footage that we have of Diddy, this behind the scenes footage, is because Diddy was filming a documentary because he thought he was going to beat this case. He thought that he was he thought that he was not going to do any time. So he was filming this documentary because he thought it was going to be a better ending for him. It was not. He ended up going to prison. He didn't pay the guy who did the footage. So the guy was selling the footage to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder was 50 Cent. 50 Cent made this documentary. Well, he's the executive producer. That's a pretty big deal. And I don't think that this is his genius. I think that this is his money and power, and he gave that over to actual creatives. I will say the documentary alone is really well put together. I think that this documentary was a revenge documentary, right? This wasn't about helping or protecting victims. This was about taking out one of his enemies. This is what, this is just 50 using this as a way to attack Diddy. But it was very well put together, a lot of information, a lot of stuff that, listen, I was a child when all of this happened. So a lot of stuff that I would hear, the adults was talking, it sounded like it was rumors, but then you're hearing these things from people who are actually there, and then you're seeing this stuff written in court documents, and then you're seeing footage, and then you're hearing audio tapes and all of this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So this stuff actually happened. A lot of this stuff actually happened. And a lot of the times we just thought that I, at least, thought that it was rumors. So I will say this. The documentary had a lot of receipts, a lot of credible witnesses to me. I don't know what that juror was talking about, but a lot of credible witnesses to me. And I think that when this man gets out of prison, probably in January, April at the latest, when he does get out of prison, I think this documentary set up more potential lawsuits for him, more criminal charges for him, especially a couple murders. My God, today, he's a monster. So anyway, we open up with this footage that 50 was able to acquire because Diddy didn't pay the guy who filmed it. So that's why we were able to get this footage. A lot of people are just like, what is going on? How did he get this? He didn't pay the dude. And that's what's happening. He's at the end, right? So he's not paying people, and that is why he's being exposed the way he's being exposed, because as long as he was paying, it was all good. He's not paying no more, so nobody is obligated to, nobody has any reason to hold his secrets anymore, since the payments are drying up. So now everybody's coming out the woodworks, those who have been wronged by him financially and those who have been wronged by him physically now have some kind of strength and voice now, because those who have been wronged by him financially are no longer protecting him and speaking out. This was a hard watch. I was not going to watch it because it was executive produced by 50 Cent. I was just like, this is just a revenge documentary. But I will say, whoever he gave it over to actually produce, very well put together. But this was not a documentary about protecting victims. It was about exposing Diddy for the actual monster that he is, and allegedly, and showing receipts to go with these allegations. So let's get into it. We open up. He is, it's behind the scene footage. He's on the phone with his lawyers. He's telling them, listen, you got to figure this out. I'm going to get off the phone with you so that you can figure it out. It sounded as if him and his lawyers were scrambling, because at this point, everybody's now coming out telling their stories about how he actually is horrible. And I think this is when the tape was released of him assaulting Cassie in the hotel, literally stomping this woman's head. So I think that just encouraged a lot of people to be like, okay, at least since people are seeing who he is, let me tell you, this is my story as well. So everybody is coming out at this time. And this is when the documentary starts, when he is seeing all of these people coming out, filing lawsuits and telling stories about how horrible he is. I have to be honest here. When they showed him in the documentary, jump scare. My God, today, this is not even old age. This is just really, really, really just jarring how terrible this man looks. Everything just caught up to him. My God, today, he is obviously, let me take this down. I'm a little scared. He is obviously going through it. The reckoning is happening. The reckoning is here. We are introduced right off the bat to Kirk Burroughs. Now, here's the thing. Did y'all know that Bad Boy had a co-founder? I had no idea that Bad Boy had a co-founder, but this is a co-founder. This is Kirk Burrows. He is also Diddy's longtime best friend from when they were kids. Like him and Kirk worked together for a very, very, very long time. He lets us know how ambitious Diddy was, and that's very true. Like I think we've all seen that about that guy. That guy is always very, very, very ambitious. We all knew that he started out dancing in music videos. And this is the thing. This is how I knew that man was ambitious. He's always been a terrible dancer. When they're showing the throwback videos of him dancing, horrible. But his confidence got him on them sets. His confidence and the fact that he was willing to do anything to make it, it got him into certain rooms and got him connected to certain people. So Andre Harrell was over Uptown Records. He was at the beginning like of commodifying hip hop, right? This was the time when Kirk, I'll bring you back up. This is the time when hip hop was just like really booming and starting to get like some monetary success. Andre jumped in and was able to really take hold of some of the hottest stars out at that time, hip hop and R&B, and that was Heavy D and I'll Be Sure. Diddy was enamored with those two men, and he basically wanted what they had. So what he did was find out who was the hit maker, right? Find out who was the one who was putting those men in those positions, and that person was Andre Harrell, who is, a musical genius. Like he is responsible for so many iconic R&B and hip hop acts. So Diddy was very smart to get this man's attention and form a relationship with him. We'll get to that, Star Family. I know you're all ready. We will get to that. Before we get to that, we learned that Diddy's father, I forget his name. I guess his last name Combs or whatever. Forgive me. But his father was second in command to Frank Lucas, who was the godfather of Harlem. So he was a big dog, right? A big time gangster. His mom was, the woman and the baby mom of a big time gangster. His father lost his life in, I don't want to say it was Central Park, but he lost his father was shot and killed in a park doing some kind of drug exchange. And he never met his dad, but he idolized his father. And I think he idolized his father because his mother really idolized his father and pretty much put that image of his father onto this very young man. Because we also meet Diddy's childhood friend who was, letting us know a lot about Diddy's life, about how, his mom dressed him up as like a baby gangster, put him in chinchillas. He was talking about how him and Diddy were riding around in his mom's brand new Cadillac. He was like, she was the only person in like the whole neighborhood with a brand new Cadillac. And they would be in her Cadillac going on stops with her. He said that she would have them in the car where she would go on these rides and she would leave the car running, hop out, handle business, and get back in the car. Basically, allegedly, mama was running drugs, right? Because Frank said that he was going to take care of her when Diddy's dad was murdered. And I guess this was him taking care of her. And Diddy and his childhood best friend would go on the rides with him. He also was introduced very young, at a very young age, to what we now call freak-offs, right? His mother was having those kind of parties in his childhood home. Diddy's childhood best friend was talking about how they were at the parties. They were not participating in the parties, but they were the entertainment. They would be dancing and, they would give the money for dancing. And then I don't know if the kids were sent off to bed, but he had very vivid memories about being at those freak-offs at a very, very young age. So we're painting a picture, right? We're painting a picture. We're figuring out how we got here. What was the beginning of this man that so many know to be a monster? And it was his mother. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Allegedly, the mama was dressing him up like a gangster and had her baby at freak-offs. And also, allegedly, she was beating the holy hell out of him to the point where the best friend was just talking about he could not even, he was talking about how the beatings that he would get from his mom. And then he was just like, I can't even talk about that anymore. That's how bad they were. So we're seeing the cycle of poor parenting and abuse being impacting this very, very young person. So I will say the documentary did a very good job of painting the picture and showing, like, humanizing in a way the now monster, and showing us how somebody can end up being this person. And unfortunately, it was the mama. My God, today, allegedly, allegedly, it was the mama. We also, in this episode, we meet, let me get her last name right. Hold on. We meet, where's she at, my dear? Did it not load? Oh, hold on, it didn't load. But we meet, her name is Joy Dickerson. Hold on. And guys, please, if I'm like freezing, let me know, because I will move locations in an instance. I am not playing. Oh my God, where is it? I know I loaded it. Okay, it's not there the way I want it to, so I'm just going to load it a different way. Hold on, Star Fam. I wanted to load it a different way, but it's not loading, so I'm just going to have to go rogue. I'm just going to have to go rogue. And here we go. This is the beautiful Miss Joy Dickerson. She tells her story about how she met Diddy at a house party at Andre Harrell's house. He took a liking to her because everybody, the house was pretty much damaged. She stayed and cleaned, helped Diddy clean the home, and he was very appreciative of that. So appreciative, he gave her her first video girl role in a video that he was shooting the next day. He asked her to be a part of it. She was a part of it. This took a wild turn because at first she's talking about how kind and sweet he was when they met, and you know how he gave her her first opportunity. And then later she's talking about how she was at a party and someone let her know, I think it was one of Diddy's bodyguards, let her know that he was showing pictures, videos of her where he was having sex with her. He was saying that Diddy would have these freak offs and he would show videos of people that he would have sex with, and she was one of them. She was taken aback because she was like not like aware of that. She now realizes, as she like pieces it all together, she was sexually assaulted that night at Andre Harrell's home. And she when she was like recalling that, she was having like these really bad nightmares and just like so much trauma. And I'm, listen, this is all alleged. I will say I believe this. I believe this woman. The way she was recounting this story, the way her heart was like, you could see that it was beating out of her chest every time she would recollect what had happened to her. And then it gets to a point where she just breaks down fully because she reads a letter that was written by her mom, because her mom was the one taking care of her after the assault. And her mother was recounting how her daughter would wake up in the middle of the night screaming about that moment. And she wrote a letter to Miss Combs, Janice Combs, Diddy's mom. And she in that letter, she was writing, your son assaulted my daughter, to the point where my daughter is absolutely traumatized by this. Like just chastising her, like, listen, woman to woman, mother to mother, your son assaulted my child, to the point where it has fundamentally changed her. And just reading that letter, she could not get herself together. And she was saying that he apologized to the last, she said she saw him one time, he got on his knees and apologized to her and said that he would have never done that to her and that it wasn't true, and was just apologizing to her. And she doesn't say whether or not she accepted it, but I don't believe she did, because she was also saying that she saw a billboard of him in Times Square. It was, I think it was the Sean John billboard. Yeah, it was the Sean John billboard where he was holding up the Black Power fist. She says she saw it and vomited, like just still having this reaction to this man so many years later. And she said that Cassie actually gave her the courage to file her case against him, because when she said it was very, like she said, it was a sad thing, but her speaking up and seeing how everybody responded to that, that gave her the courage to tell her story again and try to get justice against this man, because she spoke up before and she was telling everybody about it. And the sad thing was, it wasn't that nobody believed her. Everybody did believe her, but they told her they can't say anything or they can't defend her, because if they do defend her, they won't be allowed in the parties. They won't get certain opportunities, because at this point, Diddy was becoming a name in the music industry and nobody wanted to mess up their relationship with her. And that's why I said, if people just believe Black women, this man would not have been able to harm anybody else. But because Joy was not, well, because not because she wasn't believed, because she wasn't protected, because nobody wanted to lose any opportunities, he was able to harm more women and men, because nobody did anything about it the first time. And they don't talk about it, but it is alleged that he didn't drop out of Howard, right? He couldn't go back to Howard because it is alleged that he assaulted a young lady there. So if Howard allegedly would have done something, Joy wouldn't have been in that situation. It's like there was the saddest part about this documentary is that there were so many opportunities to stop him, but nobody did. Well, none of the men, right? Because they wanted something from him as well. So it was just like, this guy can continue to abuse and harm people because he's going to make me producer of the year, or because he's going to let me write on his album, because he was a gatekeeper at this point. And so nobody wanted to go against him. So these people are going along knowing that this man is raping women and men and nobody is doing anything because he's a gatekeeper. The fact that this was preventable is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. So another thing that's crazy to me, and let spiritual people, let's talk, because death follows this man and it also catapults him to success. Every death that is concerning this man, he is able to go to greater heights, like it's some kind of weird blood sacrifice, because he hosted an event at oh shoot, what's the name of that freaking college? What is the name of that? New York College. And 9 people died because it was at capacity and there was a stampede and 9 people died, and it was a really, really tragic situation that I'm sorry, I was not aware of that. Like, unless you were there, I don't know who else was talking about this. I was also a child. When did that happen? I was a baby. Anyway, so okay, I wouldn't have known. But I feel like a lot of people were gagged at that as well, because that was how he became famous, right? So he was responsible for this event. Everybody was blaming him. He did a whole press conference and was basically making himself this kind of martyr and like standing up and being like, I am sorry, this will never happen again. Things need to be put in place, like really acting remorseful and really taking responsibility But because he was using the culture and blackness, everybody just ate it up. And that is the moment. Like, he was doing a lot of other things, but that event where 9 people lost their lives, that event is the event that pushed him into the limelight. Where are the spiritual girlies? Because that's crazy. That's crazy. That pushed him into the limelight. So he started to get a name for himself. So I don't know how he plans an event, it kills 9 people, and then all of a sudden everybody in the music industry is asking him to host events. Like, how was that a resume? That is insane, because that's what started to happen. He started to host like all of these events. And because he was hosting all these events that everybody in hip hop was coming to, the who's who of New York was coming to, he was able to get access to Andre Harrell. And he was trying to do every and anything to get access to him, because he wanted to be A&R. He wanted to be one of the people developing the artists, because he had all of these ideas. Come to find out, all of his ideas are stolen. That's another thing that you will find out throughout this documentary, is that death catapults him, and none of his ideas are his. They're always taken from some other lesser known person. He is the ultimate destiny swapper. My God, today, was he able to leech onto people and steal their destiny? Easy work for him. Easy, like he was doing it in plain sight, and nobody checked this guy. Like, nobody stood up to him. It's so insane that he was able to do all of this unchecked, allegedly. Allegedly. So this is another thing that shocked me. So Kirk tells a story about how his mom was like trying to give him advice about how to handle the New York college event where all those people died. And he tells a story about how his mother's trying to advise him. He smacks his mom and says, "Shut the F up, B." And she shuts up, right? I distinctly remember that. I don't know if it was Wendy Williams, but I distinctly remember that rumor that he was abusing his mother. So to have an alleged firsthand witness, I'm telling you, I was watching this documentary and so many pieces were being put together. So many pieces were being put together. Some stuff I had no idea, but then other stuff I was just like, oh yeah, I remember this. Child. I was like, I remember that. It was probably Wendy Williams, child. Because how do I know all this stuff? But if you're a millennial like me from Philly, your parents will listen to Wendy Williams when they would drop you off at school. Like, Wendy Williams was our what is it? Somebody in the morning show. It was before Tom Joyner. Wendy Williams was our Tom Joyner. We listened to her every morning on our way to school. And I'm telling you, as soon as we got in class, we would talk about what Wendy Williams just said. The way she had third graders in a tizzy, my God, today. Iconic. Eric Sermon, let's talk about it. Boy, bye. Eric Sermon was lying. I didn't believe anything that Eric Sermon said. This is what I checked out from Eric Sermon. I checked out from him when he was talking about Misa Hilton, who is Diddy's first baby mom. He said, if y'all remember, the first thing he said was, me and Misa was together. And then the next scene of him, he's saying that him and Misa are friends. And I think he course corrected himself, because when him and Misa were together, Misa was a teenager. That's another thing. All the women involved in this were teens. When the Me Too movement finally hits hip hop, all of the women involved in this, teenagers. She was 16. She was 16 years old. Now, granted, Eric and Diddy were young, but they were early 20s. They were like 22, 21, and 22. Still too old for a 16-year-old. Still too old to be dating, sleeping, or anything. So even being friends. So him saying, correcting himself and saying, "Oh, we were friends," still is weird. Why are you friends as a 22-year-old man with a 16-year-old girl? It's weird. And then he tells this story about how he was sitting in a car with her, his friend, 22-year-old man sitting in a car with a 16-year-old. Diddy gets mad when he sees him sitting in the car with Misa. He wants to fight him. And Eric is just like, "Oh, I don't fight in front of women." So he tells Diddy to hop in a car. Diddy hops in a car to go around the corner to fight. And then they get around the corner. And before they get into a fight, Diddy plays this CD. Or this was it? It was probably a tape back then. A tape of Biggie. Huh? Eric, something ain't adding up. And I feel like Eric is telling this story in a way that does not incriminate him in some things. Like, it's just, a lot of it just was not making sense to me. I'm just like, first of all, 50 is messy because they left that clip in here of you saying that you and her were together. And then they put the other clip of you saying that you and her were friends. So your story is not adding up. His stories are just like, I feel like there's truth to them, but I think he's lying to protect himself. Because if we really talk about it, all the men were complicit. All the men were involved. Even this dude who's saying that Misa is his friend, he's witnessing Diddy beat her up. So you didn't want to fight Diddy in front of her, but you watched Diddy beat her. Eric, what? It just wasn't making sense to me. So at this point, Diddy meets Biggie and takes over, and starts pushing him and takes over his career. And Biggie is becoming big. Biggie at this point was already big. He was already big in New York, right? And so basically, music wise, if you're big in New York, you're gonna be big anywhere. That's just the thing. I learned that from living in New York. There was music that I would hear that nobody else, like it's just weird. Like, if you're from New York, you know what I mean. You would hear music and it would be playing in the clubs and just playing on the streets. Everybody would be listening to it and rapping and rhyming and dancing to this music a year prior to the rest of the world hearing it. So basically, music, if you want to make it in music, you got to break in New York first. And that's where your music is cycled first. And then if it's good enough, it is released to the rest of the world. So Biggie was already big in New York. So by the time Diddy had established any kind of relationship with him, he was getting he was already noticed, but then he was getting legitimized because Biggie was that guy. So that relationship with Biggie really, really helped catapult this guy to new heights. Because of that, he was getting a little too big for his britches, to the point where Andre was just like, he cannot be controlled. And so he fired him and got rid of him. That really hurt his feelings, but we don't know enough. I'm thinking something else happened. I'm going to be very honest with you. It was a little weird to me that this grown man met this young kid, and all of a sudden was just like, "I'm going to take you in as my son." Why him? Like, you don't know him, but he comes into your life out of nowhere, and you like his dedication, you like his work ethic, and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna take him under my wing as my son," and he moves into your home with you, and you and this young man are living together. Andre Harrell wife. Okay. I'm not saying anything. All I am saying is I grew up in church. Black church. There's a lot that was left out of this documentary. Anyway, so he fires Diddy. The wind is taken from Diddy's cells, and he has this bright idea that because he like starts shopping Biggie, right? Because Andre blessed him and gave him Biggie. Because for some reason, I don't think that Andre could see like the future that was Biggie. Like for some reason, he just couldn't see it. So he not only fired Diddy, he gave Diddy Biggie. That's for me. Like I guess knowing what I know now, it's just crazy. I would have never let him take. I would have never let that boy take Biggie, but he fired him and he gifted him Biggie. So Diddy and Biggie is now trying to find somewhere to land. So they're shopping it to everybody. Nobody's taking a bait. They sit down with Clive Davis. They play Clive Davis, Give Me the Loot. Clive signs them immediately. Clive heard that song and his life was changed. And you know what, Clive? Taste. Because I would have did the same thing. Clive think he me. I would have signed him too off of Give Me the Loot. It is so crazy how Andre let such a huge star go and that he literally had to be shopped to other studios. Him, who was already like killing it in New York and like at that time going viral without the internet. Like crazy work. But Clive heard Give Me the Loot and said, I'm going to give you a deal. Taste. Taste. So anyway, they are now at, I believe it's Arista Records with Clive Davis. At this point, now that they have, now that they have like all of this, now that they're being legitimized by like Clive Davis, Kirk and Diddy start Bad Boy Records. It is 25% of Bad Boy Records goes to Kirk, and then 75% is in Janice Combs' name because Diddy did not want the victims, the victims and the families of the victims who passed away from the New York College event to sue him. So off grip, he was already in situations where he would have been sued into an oblivion. So he put everything in his mom's name and gave Kirk 25%, and they started Bad Boy Records with Biggie being one of their first artists. Kirk also lets us know that at that time Tupac was coming up and he was such a huge star. Not only was he a talented rapper, he was a talented actor. Like he was the one to be, and Diddy was so jealous. He was looking at another person whose life that he wanted, because at this point Diddy was able to successfully destiny swap with so many people. He destiny swapped with Al B. Shore. He destiny swapped with Heavy D. And for some reason, I guess he had such a beef with Tupac because he could not destiny swap with him. For some reason, he could not take this man's glory. Like he just was so obsessed and so jealous, allegedly, of this guy. But the thing about it is, most people who he was envious of, he was able to take their destiny. This one, he could not do it. So he allegedly took his life. Allegedly. Let me just say this. I was a child when all this happened. But I was looking at these clips of Tupac and I said, oh, I understand Jada Pinkett. I understand. My God, today, a vision. Oh my good. This is why I envy my mom and my aunties in the 90s. They had a time. Look at the quality of men. Him and Shine. Did y'all see Shine? I was like, oh my God, Shine look like that. My God, today, what was I talking about? My God, Faith, you don't have to lie about sleeping with that man. We know you did, sister. Some of us are jealous. Some of us are, my God, today. Vision. Love a black man from infinity to infinity. So it was really sad to see how Diddy destroyed the relationship between Tupac and Biggie, because I remember people saying that they were actually friends. So it was so sad when they started beefing, and then seeing footage of how they were both so admirable of each other and how they were really, really, really good friends. And what happened, what broke this friendship down, was that Biggie invited Pac up to the studio. Pac went to the studio, got shot at the studio that Biggie invited him to. Biggie was heartbroken, remorseful. Little C, how old is Little C's? Looks great. How old is Little C's? He still look little. So Little C's is retelling the story, and Little C's is just like, I don't know about nobody else. Me and Biggie ain't know that this dude was going to get shot. Little C's was just like, Biggie sent me down to get him. I would have never went down there had I known it was two dudes waiting to shoot this man. He says he goes down there. Biggie's at the studio. He says, oh, Pac is here. Go down and bring up Pac. They was probably about to make some crazy music together. So Lil C's goes down to get Pac. Two dudes come into the elevator with him and tell him to get back in the elevator. They get up to the elevator. They wait for Pac. Pac comes in and they shoot him. But they don't take anything, right? So it would appear that this was a setup to just kill him because he wasn't robbed. I believe they say he had like $80,000 on him, and none of it was taken. No money, no jewelry, nothing was taken, but there was an attempt on his life. So at that point, that relationship was done because Pac was like, somebody in that entourage want me dead. I don't think he thought it was Biggie, but I think he felt like Biggie was protecting Diddy because he never liked him. This was somebody who could see Diddy for who he was, never took him seriously, never was afraid of him. And I guess because of that, and because Diddy couldn't allegedly destiny swap with him, it was beef forever. Because even Kirk, his bestie, is just like, he was obsessed with him. He was so jealous. He keeps on mentioning how jealous that Diddy was. So jealous that he orchestrated the East Coast West Coast beef because he was so jealous. I also did not know that Bad Boy was created because West Coast hip hop was taking off, right? So Snoop, Dre, what's the other one? Who's now, oh, so sad, a coon. Who is Ice Cube? They were all like doing huge numbers, right? Really, really taking over rap. And so Diddy orchestrated this East Coast, West Coast beef to challenge what was happening, to take the wind out of West Coast South. And again, I was a child, but I thought that Bad Boy was already created before like Snoop and them started taking off. I didn't know that Bad Boy was created to counter the West Coast talent that was taking over hip hop. Men and their egos destroy everything. Men and their egos destroy everything. How old is Little C? He's 48. Where you are, baby, with all this mess? 48? Is that a millennial? Or is he Gen X? He gotta be baby Gen X. My God, today 48. That's a good 48 that black don't crack. He looked great. I was like, Little C's look the same. My God, drop a skincare routine. Anyway, so I was unaware that Bad Boy was created to counter that. That's crazy. That is crazy. There's something else I want to talk about. We'll get into that later. Anyway, so Diddy and Kirk get into it where Diddy he needed Kirk's 25%, right? Kirk didn't want to give it to him, so he beat up Kirk and beat him with a bat until Kirk signed over his 25%. But Kirk stayed because he was just like, I don't want to be unemployed. He didn't fire me. He just took my 25%. Keep in mind, I was watching this like everybody's dumb. Everybody's dumb. What do you mean he stole your 25% from you? Everybody's an idiot, right? That's what I'm thinking. But then I realized everybody is early 20s, guys. Tupac and Biggie died at 24 and 25. These are freaking kids. Everybody's really, really young with a lot of money and a lot of responsibilities. I think Kirk at 23 wouldn't have made the same decisions at 33, right? But they're kids who are doing something that has never been done before. Nobody taught them the business. Nobody taught Diddy the business. All he knows how to be is a gangster. All he knows how to do is take, steal, and kill. He don't know any other way. Nobody has trained these kids up in business, in music. They're just talented with opportunity. And they're figuring it out as they go. So they're making a lot of mistakes. So I had to give them grace with that because I was just like, why would you say that? Why would you do that? Why would you let this happen? And then I'm like, oh, you were 23. Yikes. I'm telling you, so many opportunities are wasted on the youth. My God, today. I think of some decisions or some things that I wish I would have gotten now. I would have made a totally different decision. Ay. So then Suge Knight enters the chat. Suge was a bodyguard / gangster who got into the music industry, and he was racking up West Coast artists like Infinity Stone. So Craig Mack, flavor in your ear, who died? Did y'all just found out he died of AIDS? What is going on? What is going on? And he refused care. Because you can actually live. Anyway, that was a little segue, forgive me. But Craig Mack was having issues with Diddy. He was also on Bad Boy. He was having issues with Diddy. All the artists were having issues with Diddy because they were making, like, they were winning awards. Their records were trending. They were all at the top of the billboards, and everybody was broke but Diddy. Not only was Diddy making money off of them, he was getting them to pay him. He was starring in their videos, their music videos, like inviting himself into the videos and paying himself. So he was robbing these kids blind, like taking everything from them. Craig Mack's wife is talking about the troubles that her husband was having with Diddy. And she was just like, we had no money. She was just like, my father, I'm sitting here listening to my husband on every freaking radio station, watching my husband perform at award shows. And I have to ask my dad for money to take care of us. So she's like, there was no money. So she's like, I told him to ask him for some money because like, this is crazy, right? So she was like, they was at a club and Craig was asked Diddy for money to help pay his bills. The wife said Diddy took out a wad of money, peeled off $100 and gave it to Craig. Why Craig didn't kick that man in his chest, I don't know. Again, charge it up to the youth. Charge it up to the terrible contracts that they signed. Even Babs from Making the Band, she was talking about how when they got on the show, they had 24 hours to sign their contracts. So she had her lawyers look over the contract, and her lawyers were just like, listen, you're going to be famous, but you are going to be broke. Now, if you sign this contract, you are going to get fame, but you will not be getting money. And Babs was like, I signed it. Bad, who don't want to be a part of Bad Boy? I love Babs. She should do like voiceover work. I love her voice. Anyway, so they were all signing these bad contracts with Diddy where he was able to make so much money off of them and they were not getting anything. But here's the kicker. They were not able to successfully sue this guy for anything because everything is in his mother's name. So he's essentially broke because all of the assets are not in his name. Woo! Woo! Sad. So anyway, Craig Mack's wife is also talking about how Suge was courting Craig Mack. Suge was courting a lot of bad boy artists because a lot of bad boy artists were disgruntled. They hated the fact that this man was like taking all of their money from them, and they weren't getting anything. So Craig Mack was one of the people that he was courting, right? He's courting Craig Mack. Craig Mack is literally about to sign with Suge Knight and Death Row Records. Then Pac is killed. Craig said, absolutely not. Something about that murder made him believe that Diddy was responsible, and his wife was just like, he was afraid. So he backed out of that deal with Suge Knight. To be afraid of Diddy and not Suge Knight, crazy work. Guys, millennials who were kids during this time, remember when we all thought that Diddy was a good guy? Remember at the Source Awards when Suge got up there and was just like, if you don't want your manager dancing all in your videos, come sign at Death Row. And then Diddy got up there and was just like, I'm happy for everybody, East Coast, West Coast, no matter what. I'm happy that all these black artists are doing music and winning, and I'm rooting for everyone, and put up the black power fist, and the crowd went crazy. We all thought that he was a good guy. For Craig to be afraid of Diddy and not Suge, the boy was a menace. Allegedly. All right, let me get through this because, girl, I'm booked and busy tonight. Let's move on. We real quick. We have got to talk about. I don't have this picture. I hate you, StreamYard. I had all these pictures, but nothing is up. So I'm gonna just. Oh, here it is. No, that's Eric. I'm gonna just bring it up this way. For StreamYard won't let me post it. Anyway, I want to talk about Mark Curry. Mark Curry is an artist who was, remember, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Mark Curry is a rapper. He's also a phenomenal writer because he was somebody who wrote a lot of. He wrote on a lot of Diddy songs and wrote a lot of his verses. Right. There is a scene where he is talking about how terrible of a rapper Diddy is. And when he imitates Diddy rapping, I was in tears. Mark cannot stand Diddy. He cannot stand Diddy. That man, the rage that would come from him when he was talking about him. And then there was a point where he just started breaking down, crying. He was calling Diddy a sucker. And he was like, he's going to get what's coming to him. He's going to get what's coming to him. He cannot stand that man. Diddy robbed him of so much. He wrote on so much stuff and got paid dust. Speaking of people who wrote for Diddy, there is a producer that we meet, I believe in episode 3. His name is Little Rod. Little John, actually. Is it Little John? I think it's Little Rod. Is it Little Rod? Yeah, it's Little Rod. So he was a producer on Diddy's Love album, which I absolutely loved. It was such a good album. I'm sorry, Tim's. I can't listen to that album anymore. Sorry, Jasmine Sullivan. I can't do it. Anyway, he was like the star behind that. And he was like, Diddy chose him because he played so many instruments, and he knew that that he was just good at what he does. He starts talking about the process of creating with him. And he basically, like everybody, let us know that Diddy had no talent, but he wanted to be a star. And so what he would do is destiny swap with his artists, hop on people's songs, get those talented artists to write for him while promising them that, oh, we'll work on your album, we'll do this. But he was really stealing their flow, stealing their talent, like stealing their monies from them, stealing everything from them, but promising them that he will pay them back or that he will give them these opportunities. Same thing happened with Little Rod. He worked on this album with him, basically did about all of it, right? Even brought in a lot of the talent because although they didn't like Diddy or want to work with him, they wanted to work with Little Rod. So he really helped put this album together. He starts talking about being drugged. and how he was just like, you didn't even know that you were being drugged, because he would put, I forget the drug that he called it, but he said he would put it in the vents, so everybody would be high, and he would just, and he was like he would put it in the baby oil, he would put it in the drinks. He was always drugging people against their will, because they had no, against their knowledge, they had no idea. And he said there were sometimes that I would wake up and my body will be sore. He said other parts of me will be sore. And then he said there were sometimes we were working where we were doing them sessions, and then I will wake up and he's in a bed next to me. Little Rod, I thank you for your bravery. I thank you for telling your story. Baby, you kept on saying, well, I kept on going back because he said that he would pay me. There were a lot of decisions that you made, Little Rod, that I was just like, get, not victim blaming at all, right? But you're a producer. This man is telling you to go and get escorts. You're supposed to be playing the bass. Why? And listen, I will say this. He said, I can't say no to him. He's a gatekeeper. And he was telling me that I was about to be producer of the year. So he was doing things because he was getting something out of it. But you have to acknowledge that you were doing terrible things. You are a victim of his, right? But you in turn probably victimize others with those actions. Because why, if you're seeing that this man is such a monster, why are you going and getting sex workers and bringing them into an environment with this man? And there's another thing that gave me pause with him, where I'm like, a lot of people in this documentary petition themselves as victims, but they did heinous things. Little Rod tells a story about how he was in a studio working. Justin, Diddy's son, and Diddy walk in to a room. He hears gunshots. And they walk out. And there was a gentleman there. I forget the name of the gentleman. If you know, please put it in the comment section. There's a gentleman that is laid. He goes into the bathroom. There's blood everywhere. He filmed it. There was blood everywhere, and this man was shot. He talks about dragging this man's body down to the ambulance, calling the ambulance, dragging this man's body down to the ambulance, telling the ambulance to come, telling the police to come. He was like, they wouldn't come. He had to like drag him down to the ambulance because the ambulance wouldn't come and the police wouldn't come. And then he says this, and then I went back and I finished the album. Pause. The guy didn't survive those gunshots. You were in a studio making music you didn't see, but if we put two and two together, you kind of witnessed two people kill a man. And after that, you went back in the studio to finish the album? Huh? Not like, yes, you are a victim of this man's verbal, mental. Yes, you were groomed. He mentioned that he was groomed. He mentioned that he was sexually assaulted by him. And he also mentioned that he was fearful. Some decisions he made, I was just like, I will give him this. He was speaking about how the ambulance and the NYPD was acting real weird, was not really taking it seriously, and it wasn't like they weren't moving in a way, like there was no urgency there. Like they kind of let that man die, right? And then he says the next day, a reporter came and told him what happened and gave him the story of how it happened. Even though he was there, he witnessed it. It didn't happen the way the reporter told him, but the reporter put out a story and it went away. Now, I will say that is very intimidating. That this man, his power, he got the police department, he got the ambulance, and he got the Washington Post working for him. That I will give him that. That is very intimidating. But then Little Rod would say things like, well, he told me I was going to be producer of the year. It would have been better if you would have said that you were afraid. It would have been better if you would have said that you thought that you were going to be next. But then you would say things like that. Well, he said he was going to give me producer of the year. He said that he was going to pay me. So that's why you stayed. You stayed because it was opportunity and it was money, even though you knew these things were wrong. I'm gonna give it to Joy, right? Because Joy told. She said nobody will help her. So I get that. But there were a lot of people who were complicit, victims as well, but absolutely complicit. And that takes me to this young man, this older gentleman, Kirk. He talks about how he saw Diddy harming Cassie. Diddy meets Cassie at 19 with Ryan Leslie. Pause. Pause. Because Cassie was 19. What was Ryan doing with her? Right? So Ryan takes Diddy. Ryan is moved off the picture as soon as Diddy sees Cassie. He realizes he wants her. He goes after her. This was something that Diddy did a lot. Like whenever there was someone whose destiny he wanted, he would go after the woman first. Who are the spiritual girlies? Let's talk. He always went after the women of the men whose lives he wanted. It was so crazy. So he goes after her. Ryan is off the picture, but he's going after Cassie while he's still with Kim. At this time, he is harming her, doing all kinds of things to her. He is a witness to that. And he says, I know people are going to be like, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you speak up? Why all this stuff was happening? And didn't say anything. And he says, well, I was a victim as well. He was just like, people are, everybody's saying, talking about people who's being sexually assaulted. I was being sexually assaulted by him as well. So within this whole documentary, literally everyone who's speaking up, except for about 3 people, were sexually assaulted by this man, physically and sexually. What I want to say about that is, I think the story would have been told a lot differently if the Black community allowed Black people to be gay. Allow Black people, especially Black men, to explore themselves sexually. The way he talked about this relationship, in my opinion, he said some things and he didn't say some things, but things he didn't say, I heard very loud and clear. I do believe that these two, from a very young age, were in a relationship. I think he believed that he was in a relationship with Diddy. I think he loved him. I think that Diddy was using his affection for him, or manipulating him in a sense to use him to get the things that he wants, because he did that often. I don't necessarily think that Diddy is gay, but I do think that he uses sex as a way to control, and manipulate. Like he uses it as a way to especially dominate men. Because there's a scene where he talks about Diddy asked him to come into his office, and a woman is giving him fellatio. And he said, he just wanted me to see that. And I was like, man, I don't want to see that. And I'm like, why does he want you to see that? And then I'm asking questions like, why did you stick around with certain things? And the only thing that makes sense is if you believe that you were in a relationship with this man. That is the only thing that is making sense, because the way he even talks about that, I'm going to give it to him, right? That I believe a lot of his story. I think because he comes from a community that is homophobic. Shout out to Christianity. Well, white nationalism, it got us here. I don't think he can tell the truth of the story. And if we tell the truth of the story, he will probably say that he loved him or was in love with him and played his role because they couldn't be out or they couldn't be free. I think he had a totally different relationship with Diddy than Diddy had with him. And I think it took him being fired from Bad Boy for him to realize that Diddy never loved him, was never a partner, and was never a friend. And even Diddy, in his own words, he says it, that he's a terrible boyfriend. Like he doesn't know how to be like that. He doesn't know how to be a partner. I also think, and I'm not doing this to give him grace, but I think that what he has done to people allegedly in this industry is a learned behavior. uh, I feel like with a lot of predators, they start out as victims. And I think this is somebody who was raised within a very um, tough gangster kind of lifestyle. A lot of, prison mindset is forming this young man's mind. And he's growing up with that and not being checked, right? Nobody's telling him that isn't right. This isn't how you do it. They're actually encouraging him and saying, this is actually how you do it to get what you want. And when he's successful at that, you can't tell him that that's wrong because he's been told that this is how it's done and it's working for him. He's gaining success. Everybody is falling in line. So that's why when he was on the phone and he was talking to Kalina, and he was just like, Dawn, and all these people are now calling me monsters. I can't believe I don't think that he thinks that he did anything wrong. I think in his mind, this is normal. And he had so many people who were complicit. So now all these people are like, oh no, what you did was wrong. And he's like, but for 30 years, you all made me believe that this was right. Nobody checked him. So this weird demonic behavior was not only unchecked, it was rewarded. So now this man is confused by everybody flipping on him. That's why he's looking at his son. That's why he's bringing his son up in this, because he was brought up in it. It's a sad cycle, but this is actually normal to him. And that's why he's looking at his son. God told me not to do anything, but that doesn't mean that Justin shouldn't do anything. He's looking at his son like, save me. Me and you were in the same boat. Me and you did some stuff together. Look out for me, because when they get me, they coming after you. Especially after this documentary. My God, today. I said murder. Mrs. Baby, what is going on? What is going on? But I honestly believe that if our community was more accepting of the LGBTQ community, this story will be told a different way. Yes, there was youth involved. Yes, there was intimidation involved. I think he stayed because he loved him. I think he was in love with that man. And I think when he was fired and thrown away, he realized that that man never loved him. And now he feels, especially now with Cassie and the lawsuits, I think now he just feels comfortable to tell his story. Absolutely, he was a victim, also complicit. And that's the thing that we just have to be honest about. And I think because of that, right, because of a lot of the victims were complicit, listen, the jurors rubbed me the wrong way. No shade. The Indian dude, he beats women. That juror, the way he was talking about the abuse that Cassie was receiving and saying, oh, it's relationship stuff. What relationship you in? She kept on coming back. Now I will give it to Cassie. I will say, out of everybody, every victim that we've talked to, along with Joy, she was one of the people who I was just like, she literally couldn't escape. We have witness accounts and video of this woman trying to escape and being brought back. Now, was she complicit in some of the, consensual acts? Who really knows? Seems like the lady was drugged the entire relationship. But again, this relationship got here because she was promised something from this man. Kirk even talks about it, how he would, beat her, then apologize to her and say, well, we're going to work on the album. And that would be like something to keep her around him, keep her loving him, keep her encouraging him, because she thought she was going to get something out of it. And I think that was the nature of a lot of his relationships. People stuck around because, yes, he was doing terrible things, but like Little Ross said, he's a gatekeeper. He can open up some doors. And so I think that's probably what a lot of jurors had an issue with. A lot of them were also fans. Because that sister with that ponytail, I said, you ain't know that you was going to be on camera? Why is this your hairstyle? No shade. No shade. But I'm like, we couldn't have got, not, anyway, she was absolutely a fan. Juror 101, I believe. She was absolutely a fan. The way she talked about Diddy, this man is in a racketeering and sex trafficking case where he's trafficking human beings, and you're smiling. Oh, he will look at us and he will make these faces. You're sick. But see, it will be people like that who will ride for this guy. Celebrity worshipers. So I think even with these new trials, it's going to be very hard to convict this man unless he's tried in a place where he don't have no fans. I don't think, had it not been for the judge, he wouldn't have done time. I think with a lot of, like, I will say, like I said before, this documentary set it up for a lot of lawsuits, but I am just not sure if anything is really going to come from that, because this guy is Teflon. Teflon. What else I want to talk about? Christina Norman, KK. I think she's going to be another one. His chief of staff, the way they kept on naming her and implementing her in a lot of Diddy's horrors, we're going to get new lawsuits from this documentary. We're going to get a lot of new lawsuits from this documentary. Let's talk about her real quick. Listen, a lot of people were dragging this lady. This lady is in a custody battle, or was in a custody battle at that time. And she was just like, listen, I can't get involved in this nonsense. Because when I asked Diddy for somebody to help me fight for custody of my kids, he couldn't help me. So then he gonna call me and ask me for help and ask me to write a statement. But when I needed help with my kids, you didn't help me. And she said it, but didn't say it. That lady released that statement because Diddy sent her that $5,000 to help her fight for custody of her kids. So I kind of understand where she's coming from. And then his assistant, what is her name? Capricorn. I believe this lady. First day on the job, this man tells you when he finds out that your best friend is Suge's baby mama, that he can kill you and nothing will happen to you. And then she's been witnesses to people doing weird things, disappearing. Like, I do believe that this lady was absolutely scared of him. I do believe that she was kidnapped by him. I do believe that he had a gun and said, take me to him. I believe that. I believe she was very fearful, especially as a woman. The women in all of this, none of them were protected. So I do believe her. I will say the only thing that she said that gave me pause was that she said that she protected him because she loved the culture. F the freaking culture. What are you talking about? What is the culture? What is the culture? This man is allegedly killing and raping and y'all have to stop that. Black women, Afro-Latinas, Black adjacent women, y'all really have to stop doing that. Y'all been doing that since the civil rights movement. Protecting terrible men for the greater cause. I don't want to take down a black man. If this black man is killing and raping people, let's take him down. Allegedly. Let's take him down, guys. Stop protecting them. Stop for the culture. Damn near 6 people are dead, but the culture. Women, stop. Black women, Black adjacent women, stop that. Stop that. Because this man is harming women and you're not saying anything as a fellow woman because you want to protect the culture. He's kicking this girl in the head, kicking her in the stomach, stomping on her to the ground, blowing up Kid Cudi's car, but the culture. Girl, no. Girl, no, 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 no. And even though the stories with that sex worker, a little weird. Had it not been for this lady and her courage, we wouldn't be here. even though Capricorn was mad that she brought that case up and put her back into the spotlight of dealing with this man and recounting everything, had it not been for her courage, we wouldn't be here. So shout out to her. Shout out to her. Shout out to Joy for getting the courage to speak her piece. Shout out to Pac, who knew it from day one. Fortunately, lost his life. Him and Biggie were children, not children, but they were very, very young, very, very young, minimal to no guidance, um, being used by gangsters in the industry to get money and to take out their enemies. Here's the thing I want to say about him. Like I said, this documentary was hard. It was tough. It was a lot happening in there. But baby, when he said that he used Diddy as a bulletproof vest when they was shooting up the club, I just had a visual of him having Diddy. My God, today. And the reason why I'm not speaking about the murders of Biggie and Pac, I live in LA. I'm not saying nothing about them Bloods. I'm not saying nothing about them Crips. I don't know nothing. Is it time? Oh, it's 7:30. Okay. Give me like 5 minutes. So I wasn't going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything about that. Now, if I was in Philly right now, I would have different opinions. But I will say, Diddy is adding up, child. Is adding up. That's all I have to say. I actually got to get out of here. Let me get a couple of comments from y'all, and then I have to go. Let me get my super chats. Nisha, thank you for the super chat. Nisha said, "Hey, beautiful. I didn't have a chance to watch the documentary series. It's a really easy watch. It's heavy. It's heavy. So after you watch it, go do something fun. Just know the fact that I treasure commentary, but I miss you, girl. Can you please just do a live at least on Friday for me? Trust me, I'm struggling. I make porn look so good. I am right there with you, Nisha. Absolutely. I'm going to be doing a birthday live. My birthday is tomorrow. I'm doing a birthday live tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST. It's just going to be a just chatting. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we will talk about it there. So thank you so much, Nisha, for the super chat. Thank you, Nisha, for the super sticker. Always priceless. Thank you for the super chat. Always priceless there for Pac and Big. Diddy was jealous that Pac was opening up Big's eyes to realize his own power. Therefore, Pac had to go. Then it was time to repaper Big's contract, and I think that's when Diddy decided Big had to go. Absolutely. Speaking about that, the fact that he made Biggie pay for his own funeral and took his cover and literally danced on his grave with Sting and Faith. Whoo! Heavy! Heal, Nona Black TV. Thank you so much for the super chat. Nona said, "Hi, Nikki. Your take is one of the most truthful I have heard. Documentary exposed to more crazy on crazy." And I don't think that, thank you so much, Nona, for the super chat. I don't think a lot of this is going away. I think this documentary opened up a lot of lawsuits. Not Sandra Bullock, what's up, said he was her boss. Their relationship was absolutely not normal. Those jurors were idiots and problematic, and why weren't they sequestered? Absolutely. I think that Mommy already came in here, I know.
Yeah, I have something to say to start from. Are you still in your are you still in your comment?
Yeah, I'm still in my comments.
Hello everyone. Sorry. Looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. For NikkiStar's birthday live. You all are invited because she loves you guys so much.
I already told her about it.
She actually wants to spend her birthday with you guys. Oh my gosh, I gotta get myself.
I already told them about it. Toy, get out of here. I can only get like 3 more comments before we have to go.
Hurry, because we have to go.
Well, you took up my time. Here's the thing. I think that the DA, listen, I don't think the case against him was strong. And then with these jurors and not sequestering them, and I'm like, I don't know how, especially the 2 jurors that was in this documentary, I don't know how the DA approved them. You have to win. You're trying to win. Why would you approve even those 2 jurors? One of them was worse than the other. I don't even know how they got approved. So it was just like, this case was dead in the water. Dahlia said, the real question is, would these people have engaged in this behavior if Diddy and co weren't forcing them? I say no. Diddy forced them to participate to keep control and mess with their heads. Yes, I think that is true for some people. I do think others also stayed for the opportunities and the benefits that they could get from him. Like a lot of people saw him beating Cassie. A lot of people knew that allegedly, a lot of people knew, well, we saw you beating Cassie. A lot of people knew allegedly that he assaulted Joy. Nothing was done. Eric Sermon watched him beat Missa. You know, like it's, some people were complicit and victims as well. Dear Diver said we don't know any of these people. People were probably scared in the 90s based on the history of how we were treated. The first trick is to act like it never happened. Absolutely. And I hope the people of New York who are still fans of him watched this documentary and saw when that man went back to Harlem and how he was acting like he was down with everybody, taking pictures, shaking hands, and then got in his and then got his van and was just like, he got to take a peroxide bath from being around those people. Black capitalists will not save you. They don't even like you. I hope y'all saw that and I hope y'all wake up. Zora said, one thing about abusers who create cult-like abusive environments is that the victims are often complicit, often by design of the abusers. This case is messy in that way. Absolutely. If you remember the case of that guy, I believe it was in Detroit, who kidnapped those 3 girls and kept them in a basement in their home, in his home, for like over a decade. And he made one of the victims the main girl, and she became an abuser to the other girls. And when they all got free, she tried to apologize to them because she was just like, I was doing it to survive. And they were like, F you. So none of them rock. So they don't, the 2 girls who survived, they do not like her at all. And to this day, she's still trying to apologize, but they're just like, absolutely not. You abused us as well. And she was just like, I knew it was wrong, but if I didn't do that, he would do it to me. So it's a terrible cycle. He was able to do this for 30 years, and so many men and women. I'm gonna put this on the men. The women tried. They did nothing. Complicit, because he was a gatekeeper. And that's the industry, the entertainment industry as a whole, guys. As a whole. Because let's not forget about Epstein. That is the entertainment industry as a whole. It's abusive. It is trafficking. It is sad. Wavy said he was able to turn so many allies into victims because the allies were okay with turning a blind eye as long as they didn't think it would happen to them. Reminds me of the current political. Yep, very much so. I'm going to give Val and then 2 more, and I have to go. But keep on talking in the comment section because when I get back, I will be responding there. Val says the male juror absolutely was out of his mind for saying that. You saw her trying to escape this man and what happened to her as a result. If that man is married, someone needs to check on. I said the same thing. Val. Black Healer said Kirk wasn't around for Cassie. The secure. Thank you so much. I confused the two. Thank you so much, Black Healer. I was talking about Missa. Lies, Legality, Reality said, I'm so glad you're asking what folks' ages were. My goodness. Everybody was under the age of 25. My God, today. Those kids should have never had this kind of power. Not kids. Those young people should have never had that kind of power. Just Jonda said, I believe a lot of what Little Rod put in his lawsuit. Unfortunately, he hired the word. He sure did. For him to have all those receipts and videos and voice messages and got nothing, still waiting. My God, today. And the thing about it is, like, who are y'all going to sue? Everything's in his mama's name. What are y'all going to get? What are y'all going to get? Well, see, me as a kid, I did see Golden. I thought Suge was the bad guy. He is, but I thought that Diddy was good and Suge was bad. I didn't know they both were terrible, that Diddy was worse. Gagged me. And one thing for certain, and 2 things for sure, Wendy Williams was right about everything. Wendy Williams was right about everything. All the women were collateral. And the way he put his mother's image onto Little Kim and Faith, He put his mom's image on those two women. Those two women, what in the Oedipus? Those two women were he put his mother's image on them. They were reincarnations of his mom. Ciao. Ciao. We're going to end here with Art World. Art World said 90s man was some kind of special, but Diddy had nothing to do with Tupac's death. Allegedly. Allegedly. I will say that confession from that crypt, $1 million for the whole West Coast crew. I don't know, guys. I don't know. He sure did. He sure did. Extremely intelligent, but not too bright. Not too bright. I hate that he signed with Death Row, but he wanted to get out of prison. He wanted to get out of prison, and he signed that contract in jail, in prison. My God, today. I was like, he looked like that? I would have been a menace. Shout out to the boomers. You had a good time. Shout out to the boomers. You had a good time. Anyway, Star family, I have to go. You know I would be here 2 more hours if I could. Continue to have this discussion, guys. I will be back in the comments. Love you all. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you see something wrong, speak up. Do not be complicit. My God, today. Listen, if you lose some opportunities because of it, it is what it is. It is what it is. Just know every devil will have his day. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow for the birthday. Just chatting. Again, write in the post that I posted 2 days ago what subjects you want to talk about, and we will talk about those tomorrow. And if you guys want to pick this back up and talk about it there, let's go. We'll continue the discussion there. But thank you all so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful night or morning or afternoon, wherever you may be. And I'll see you tomorrow for something else. Love you. Bye. Oh, this was heavy. Go, watch Mary Poppins. Is that good? No More Sheets. No. Care Bears or something. This is heavy. Love y'all. Bye.